conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Anthony Lionheart Smith.
All right, we have got the show on the road. Speaking of on the road, Paul, I just got back from the one and only Macau via Hong Kong, via planes, trains, and automobiles. Have you been to Macau? Have you been to Hong Kong?
I have not. I have not been to China at all. I've been scheduled to go, I think, 2 or 3 times, and they kept getting canceled. And then the one time that I'm not on the schedule, you guys went through and got it done.
Hey, there were some good talking points, which we'll get to in a minute. But I got to say, flew there, by the way, 16 hours, agonizing neck pain. Did not sleep a single second. Then straight to fighter meetings. My plan was sleep all night, go to the meetings. Didn't happen.
Never,
that was
never works that way.
One of the worst days of my life. I'm telling you, it was so bad. And then, but when I got picked up at the airport in Hong Kong, they picked me up in a nice, beautiful executive black limo. You know, not a stretch limo, but a nice chauffeur-driven car. The seats reclined back, right? It took about an hour, 20 minutes over this beautiful brand new bridge that goes over like the ocean or whatever it is, the sea.
Right.
Got there like an hour 20. Very, very comfortable. On the way back, because of dickheads like you, Paul, because of dickheads like you, and you'll understand why in a minute, it took 6.5 hours to get to the airport. We had to initially take a bus with Steve from security, the lighting guys, the sound guys, all the crew, right? I had to get in a bus. Then we had to get a ferry. Then the ferry took about an hour and a half. Then we get off the ferry, and then there's like a woman holding a thing. It was like a busman's holiday. And then they're counting up, making sure everyone's there. Then there was like an hour to wait. People were trying to get McDonald's. Then we got on a little bus, right? And the bus, the guy driving it had no uniform on. It looked like some guy that they just grabbed off the street. He looked like a little skinny, like scummy, weaselly type of guy. We're driving over this massive, high suspended bridge with no barricades on either side. And I'm looking, he's like this. He's on his phone. He's texting. I'm like, we're going to die. It took 6.5 hours before we got to the airport. And the reason I say because of people like you is because the bridge that we drove in on was closed for a bloody marathon. For a bloody marathon. And there was a bike ride and there was a marathon. They're all there in the lycra and their bloody headgear and stuff.
Oh, man, I should have worn my cycling kit for the show today. It would have been very appropriate. You might have flashbacks.
I'm gonna kill him. It was like a busman's holiday.
I'm a runner, and I would have been mad if it took us that long, and we're taking ferries and all kinds of stuff to get to the airport after a show like that. I would have been pissed off too. I can't
it was a lot. It was a lot, but the fights delivered. It was a great night. Obviously, always a pleasure working with Laura Sanko and John Gooden, but never mind them, the stars of the show. Unreal. I want to talk about a young lady that competed on the prelims. I don't know if you saw this, Paul, because it was like 3:00 in the morning. I'm assuming you weren't up.
No, not at 3 in the morning. I've seen highlights. Is this the head kick one?
Yeah. So there's this woman. Yeah. She's called Shi Ming, right? Which you can make some jokes because Ming in England is kind of an insult. Like she's a Ming. She is a doctor. A full-on doctor by the day, like a real, like a respectable doctor. And then in the evening, she goes and trains MMA. And in the fighter meeting, I was like, whoa, stop. You're a doctor? And you,
like an doctor.
This is road to the UFC. If you win this, you get a contract in the UFC. Why are you doing this? You're a doctor. Surely that's a well-paid job. And she says, no. In China, it's not a well-paid, respectable job at all. And you kind of, at birth or when you're very young, they kind of identify you into one of two groups. This person has athletic ability. They will take him or she off and cultivate them to be an athlete or whatever. Or you're smart, you're academic, and they put you into that group and you go off and become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And so she's a doctor, but she loves martial arts, always loved martial arts films and stuff like that. She's competed. She's had like 30 professional fights. Apparently, she's some TikTok sensation in China. One of the TikTok videos had like over 1 billion views, which, in China is not that much.
China. That's like us getting 100.
Exactly. That's less views than what this show gets. But So they have no idea. And I said, hold on. So you're on TV in China. You're competing tonight. Where do your parents think you are? And she told them that she's off doing like some tournament, doing katas or breaking bricks or some shit, and she's knocking out people in the UFC. And it was one of the best knockouts of the year. Now, Paul, here it is. She's only a little tiny thing, and her opponent was way bigger. It was kind of a lackluster fight. There wasn't much going on until that head kick, right? And look at the way the legs are frozen. That'll do, Paul. Brian. The legs are frozen in the air. And you know what it's like, Paul, when you walk into the octagon, right, to interview the winner, and the person that's been knocked out is still on the ground.
Still down. Yeah.
Well, this went on for about 20 minutes, and they must have been filling and all kinds of stuff. And I'm there, and I'm in there, and I'm speaking to security, and the doctors are panicking, and they're like shouting and screaming because they don't have too many UFC events there. And this was the worst knockout I've ever seen. And she was totally unresponsive. And then they bring the stretcher in. She was still unconscious. They had to carry her away in the stretcher and stuff. Dude, it was one of those. I was really starting to worry.
Yeah. Yeah. You start seeing that. And, we know that there's high risk when you go in there. But, man, when you see somebody down like that and they just don't start moving, it's like, oh, my God, I don't want to be here for this. It's not good for business, right? I mean, knockouts are great, but we want everyone to get up and move on and be okay afterwards. I saw those highlights, and I saw the stretcher thing. I'd seen the head kick before I'd heard about the fact that she got taken out on a stretcher like that, man. And to be able to do that at that size, what weight was that? Was that 115?
115 straw weight.
That's insane.
Have you ever seen a stretcher? That's the first time I've seen anyone taken out on a stretcher. Brian or Harrington, jump in if you want.
I've seen guys taken out because of like leg injuries on a stretcher. Yeah, but I haven't seen anybody taken out on a stretcher due to like a, possible neck or just severe brain injury like that.
Yeah.
My first pro fight though.
Oh,
guy got taken out on the stretcher. And here's a funny story. Guy gets taken out on a stretcher.
Let's go, Paul.
Guy gets taken out on a stretcher. And CFFC at the time only used to keep one ambulance in the building. So I shut down the entire show because that ambulance had to take the guy to the hospital and then come back to the arena afterwards in Atlantic City. So it was like shut down for the entire time that they
and
took
you
it.
were the knockoutee, I'm assuming. Come on.
First one, baby.
On. The one and only Irish Dragon. Let's go, baby. I would love to say that in those situations, the worst knockout that I could think of was one that I delivered, but it was me getting knocked out at UFC 100. And even still, I didn't need a stretcher.
You still didn't get a stretcher, yeah.
I ain't no pussy.
Tony Ferguson didn't need a stretcher.
I ain't no bitch. What's that?
I said Tony Ferguson didn't need a stretcher.
Yeah.
For Michael Chandler.
And his soul left his body for a while.
You mentioned moving on. I think that girl should move on from the sport because, early days like that, you get knocked out that bad. She's never going to be the same. God bless her. My God.
Yeah. And it's just even being just gun shy, right? After you get put out like that on a stretcher and
Can I tell you that the people in China, obviously they're working, because where we are in Macau, it's kind of like Las Vegas. I fought there 10 years ago. The people are so polite. They really are. But the overmanning of staff is a real thing. It's a real problem. Like I went off for a walk and I found this little place that did breakfast late because I slept in till late. I was trying to adjust my body clock and whatnot. It was about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And found a place that did Eggs Benedict. I thought, oh wow, great.
In China?
Let's go. Eggs Benedict, baby. They came. The Eggs Benedict were about this big. I don't know how they found these like glorious little eggs with a bit of side salad. Right. So I took a picture of them next to my hand for context for my wife and sent them to her. But like you would eat something and like you put a little bit of salt on and you put it down. 3 people run over and like rearrange your table, put the salt and pepper back. I'm like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like you move your drink, someone comes, slides it back into place. I'm like, guys,
just ready to go at all times. Just
relax. Just relax. Okay.
He dropped his napkin.
Yeah, exactly. My God. But they're very nice people. Anyway. Okay, this episode is sponsored by Beam Greens. Has poor nutrition ever impacted your energy levels, athletic performance, mood, productivity, or overall well-being? Have you struggled with maintaining balanced nutrition due to a hectic lifestyle? I know that I have. An intense workout schedule, travel, all of these things can play havoc with your nutrition. Well, I am thrilled to introduce Beam Greens, a comprehensive blend for foundational nutrition packed with 14 essential greens. Beam Greens was recently rated the #1 best tasting greens powder by the New York Post. Look, listen, a lot of these other ones, they can be bad. Let me tell you, Beam, it tastes delicious. You will actually enjoy drinking it, I promise you. The unique blend contains wheatgrass, chlorella and kale, plus mushrooms, adaptogens, and antioxidants, and it helps address nutrient gaps and support immune function and overall health. And Beam Greens taste like a strawberry kiwi dessert, making it possible to actually enjoy getting your daily greens. And let me tell you, this product came in very, very useful last week. I was traveling all over the bloody world. I was still in pain with the neck, but I didn't get sick. And that's because the comprehensive formula promotes immune function, helps boost energy, and supports whole body health. And even better, as I said, this stuff is actually enjoyable to drink. Simply mix 1 scoop with 8 ounces of water, shake, stir, or froth, and enjoy making a convenient addition to any meal or drink. Now, it's Black Friday. And Beam's Black Friday sale is now live. This is Beam's biggest sale of the year and the lowest price that they have ever sold Beam Greens for. Get up to 50% off when you visit shopbeam.com/believe and use the code BELIEVE at checkout. Get your greens at the lowest price ever before they sell out. Head over to beam.com/believe. Enter the code BELIEVE. That is shopbeam.com/believe and use the code BELIEVE for up to 50% off. Feel good. Stay feeling good. Don't get sick. Get the nutrition. Do it comfortably. Do it quickly. Do it in a matter of a few seconds. And do it all whilst it tastes good. Beam.com/believe. Use the code BELIEVE for up to 50% off. What should we talk about? Should we get into the main event? Davison Figueiredo, Petr Yan?
Man, you know, I knew that fight was going to be, now that I was up for, because the main card I was up decently early and got to watch most of those fights. And I really just wanted to make sure I timed it out to absolutely see that fight, to see Petr Yan get back in there. And my God, dude, he's back to what we all knew that he was capable of when he first showed up and started dusting dudes and looked like he was going to be the next champ. And you know, credit to Figueiredo. My God, that dude could, thank God he moved up to 135 pounds, because since he's moved up, he can take shots. He can do, his cardio's there. His durability is back there. That had to be a fun fight to call. Those guys were just beating the crap out of each other, showing off everything, the scrambles, takedowns, knockdowns, knees, kicks. I mean, they really showed why that division in particular is on the forefront, and everyone's kind of hyped up about 135. And Petr Yan is back in the mix. And I think Figueiredo is just another win from putting himself right back in the talks to continue on that journey.
Oh, 100%. When I spoke to Petr Yan for the meeting, do you follow Daily Stoic on Instagram or like these Stoic pages? And they have, you know, like Marcus Aurelius giving quotes and stuff. Do you follow any of those pages?
I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah. I follow a few.
I follow.
I don't know if I follow the advice, but Petr Yan.
But you like to look at it.
Yeah, I look at them and I go, that's good advice. Anyway, another beer, please. He talks like one of those pages, you know, and some of the words that he said really gave me, I found myself stopping and thinking about it. Like, I was asking him about, you know, obviously he'd lost 3 fights and, you know, whatever he changed. And he said, well, stability is mastery of life. And I thought, oh, I like that. You're right.
All right.
And then I'm like, so I'm assuming you want to be a champion again. You know, how are you going to do that? And he goes, well, the bigger the target, the harder it is to miss. I'm like, another one. And then I asked him something else and he's like, no good soldier does not want to become a general. And I'm like, bro, are you reading these quotes from somewhere?
Where's the way? Yeah. It turns out it's just the translator. It's not actually him at all.
Yeah. It might have been the translator.
Petr Yan just said, I don't give a shit. Yeah, whatever happens. He's like, no good soldier doesn't want to become a general.
Yeah, no, I think I said, do you want to be a champion? He said, well, no good soldier does not want to become a general. I was like, whoa, that's the best answer I've ever heard in my life. And I also had
Russian accent.
He's yeah, exactly. And then, of course, he gets the job done. He looked phenomenal. And then his son came in the octagon. That was a beautiful moment. Roll that tape, please, Brian, because this was special for me because Rogan did the same thing with Callum when I was competing on 2 different occasions. And it was like, it's something we still talk about to this day. So when I saw his son come in and he was crying, here we go.
Я очень рад победе папы!
I'm very happy that my dad won.
And then I love the translator saying it with the same. I'm very happy that my dad won. The bigger the target, the harder it is to miss. But
I'm surprised he didn't bust out any inspirational quotes for it.
Yeah, exactly. A true father would not lose in this environment. It's what I expected. No. It was amazing. Did your kids ever come to any of your fights, Paul?
So when I was actively fighting, we still only had Aisling, and she was still pretty young. So I don't know, maybe it's because having a daughter and not a son. Maybe if it was a son that was the same age, I might have been more inclined to want to bring him, but I just didn't. I was always just so worried about it not going the right way, and then her being just mortified from it. So no, they never did.
So I've said this myself, and we speak to fighters and we hear this, I've said the line, look, listen, no man alive is going to beat me in front of my children. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. And of course, that's not how the universe works, and I've lost fights in front of my kids, and these other fighters that come in, they lose fights in front of the kids. And it's always kind of a tricky one because, I mean, Petr Yan's son was very, very emotional and crying just at the fact that he won, So it's, I don't really have a point here. We're just having a discussion about it. But like, you always think it's going to be some extra motivation and all the rest of it. But you know yourself, once that cage door closes,
you're worried about one thing only.
Getting your head.
Anything can happen. You could be put on a stretcher.
You could.
You could be
which
put
would
on
be
a
bad.
Stretcher. Oh,
which would
talk about traumatizing moment for a kid to see their parent get taken out on a stretcher. That's why I've just it's to each his own on that for sure. And I understand and I do get why people want to have their family there, but I also didn't do training camps at home. So I was away and then I would go to the fight and then I would go home afterwards. So at that point, it just made more sense for me to go and do the fights without them. So if I had lived and trained in Philly still, like Christine would come, but we would get my mom and my dad at the time to watch Aisling and stay.
I hate to bring it up. When I won the belt, that was in Los Angeles. I live in Orange County. So Callum and Ellie came. Lucas didn't come because back then, the little shit people probably remember, he used to always pick me to lose anyway. And he was only about, what was it? It was 8 years ago. So he was like 6 or something. You know what I mean? So he was too young anyway. He didn't really care. But now I wish that he was there for that moment. Anyway.
I was there. I was in the building that night.
You were?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Well, cheers to that, buddy.
Dude, I lost my mind. I was like in the, how they would have like a green room area, a bar area for all the fighters that were guest fighters and things to go. And I remember I was drinking with Tony Ferguson that night and we're at the bar and he's like, he makes me take a shot with him. And he's like, yo, let's show each other some moves. I'll show you a move. And then you show me something. And this is hold on.
By the way, this is what I was going to say to you. Never mind my fighting. I want to hear the stories from you drinking with Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. So we're at the bar and I forget what move he showed me, but we're at the bar. And I remember thinking like, Tony, like, I don't want to, you're in my division. Like, I don't want to do this right now. We're being cool. We're having a good moment right now. I don't want to start going move for move at the bar during the fight. And luckily I got out of it without getting into a fight at the bar with Tony Ferguson. But it was your fight. Most of the fights I spent in the back watching them on TV, but that main event we went down and we watched you get that freaking knockout. And I just remember the place going crazy.
Did Tony's moves consist of elbows? There had to be like an elbow combination.
I think it was like, of course, an ankle pick to something, or a grab in the leg and coming back to a break dance. Yeah, throw some sand in somebody's face, and
exactly, and then crip walk his way out of the ring.
After doing some penetration steps back and forth along before he did it.
Oh God. We'll just run through some of the other fights real quick. Muslim Salikov, spinning wheel, head kick, knockout, 40 years old, pulling that shit off.
Just talking about how like that guy still got that in the bag. Like you when you fight him, he is surely shown that he's getting older. He's 40, but man, you can't let that guy spin on you. If you let him spin on you, he will put you out. And I couldn't believe it. I was happy for him. I've always kind of been a fan of him because of his background, the Wushu Sando and going over to China.
King of Kung Fu.
Yeah, I've always liked that he's kind of the Dagestani guy that was way more of the striker than he was the pure wrestler. So I was happy to see him go get a big win. And I think on a win streak again.
Yeah. Yeah. Before that, we had Gabriel Fernandez. Now, a lot of you people won't know this name. Wang is pronounced Chong. It says Wan Kong. Again, you can make some jokes in English. Yeah, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of names we could.
We're not immature, okay?
No,
Wan Kong. Here. No, this is not the show. This is hard-hitting MMA analysis.
This is serious talk.
Take your mind out of the gutter, guys. Wang Kong she's a fantastic kickboxer. She'd had one fight in the UFC. She won it in like the first minute. She's beaten.
Is she the Joker? The Joker? Yeah. Is she the one that? Yeah.
She beat Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. Dean Amasinga, a good friend of mine who runs the PI in Shanghai, says like she's unreal. They wanted her for the Chinese Olympic boxing team because she's like the best boxer in the country, but she wants to do MMA because there's more money. And she's like, everyone's like, she's unreal. She's funny. She's marketable. She's got a sense of humor. She's got charisma for days, right? And 99.999 times out of 100, she destroys Gabriela Fernandez. But she was piecing her up. She was taking her time, and she got so cocky and did not respect what was coming back. And then all of a sudden, boom, caught with a head kick, dropped with the right hand, and then choked out unconscious. And Gabriela Fernandez was overcome with emotion. She lost 2 family members recently. So, of course, that's a lot of the reason for the emotion. But to go back to UFC 199 when I became the belt, it's like with everyone, she was like a plus 1,500 underdog. When everyone writes you off, the whole world thinks that you don't have a chance. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, this is mixed martial goddamn arts. Anything can happen. And you get the stoppage in round 2. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was epic, man. And you could tell as soon as she got that done, she could have ran through that fence. She could have ran through that octagon fence. She was hyped up after that. And that's why you love this stuff, man. And that's why this sport, you can be the biggest underdog in UFC history. And we've seen it time and time again. People go out there and they get it done. And to do it the way she did it too, she head kicked her, dropped her with a punch, and then choked her out. So it's not like she just caught her slipping and grabbed her neck and got a lucky submission. She cracked her, put her down, and then finished her. I was up for that one too. Having my coffee.
Gabriela Fernandez, like, she's an athlete. When you see her, she's a big build. She's ripped. She's muscular, and she's capable. She's got skills. But the other girl, Wang Kong, she was, you could see she was the better boxer. She was working the body a lot. She was taking the time and yada, yada. But she just had the hands low and goofing around. I was like, I've got you all day long. All day long.
Much.
And you got too cocky. Got a little bit too cocky. All right, this episode is sponsored by Prize Picks, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. As I said, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as just 4 correct picks. For example, think about Justin Jefferson. Will he get more than 83.5 yards next week? Lamar Jackson, pass more than 1.5 touchdowns. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Like, for example, this week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at the football board. Jamar Chase, will he get more than 79.5 receiving yards? Patrick Mahomes for more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Travis Kelce for more than 59.5 receiving yards. And Saquon Barkley for more than 79.5 rush yards. It's that easy. You just pick more or less. Download the Prize Picks app right now. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. 2 more before we move on. We're going to talk about Carlos Ulberg, Volkan Oezdemir. I was made to look a fool multiple times on Saturday night. Well, probably more than what I suspect. But this was another one. I'm like, this one ain't going to a decision, guys.
I know.
I guaranteed it.
Yep.
I guarantee this one will end. Volkan Oezdemir has got severe knockout power. Carlos Ulberg was on a 6-fight finish streak. And then, of course, they slug it out for 15 minutes. But it was a really good fight.
That one I did not catch. But
well, I did.
It looked
Don't
like,
worry about it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Was it the right decision? Did he win? Was it clear?
He did. No, he did.
Yeah.
He did. Carlos Ulberg, as the fight went on, he slowly started taking over. First round was really close. I'll probably give it to Oezdemir. 2 and 3 for sure, Carlos Ulberg. He was connecting more. He was using the jab. He was using the speed. Oezdemir was dangerous the whole time. He definitely rocked him a few times, but he was a little bit one-dimensional, just looking for the left hook over and over and kind of lunging in with it. So it was a little bit predictable. I like Volkan Oezdemir. I'm a huge fan of him, but Ulberg now 7 wins in a row. He was booked to fight Jamahal Hill, but he's fighting someone else. We'll talk about that later. And then opening up the card, you won't saw this one either, but keep an eye on this name. It's one you won't forget. Zhang Ming Yang, okay? Zhang Ming Yang, you say. 17 wins, 17 knockouts, all in the first round. 2 in the UFC in the first round. And you know what it's like? You go in there, you speak to them on the microphone. My neck's killing, right? And I was suffering during that fight. I'm putting my brave face on, but I'm like, I'm moving around like this, and I'm giving him the microphone. Bro, he was fired up to the Chinese over and over again, and he was fired up so much, and like the veins were popping out of his neck, and he looked like a goddamn maniac. And all I was thinking as he was going on, like, fucking, you'd be a lot to handle right now with my neck condition. I'm like, please do not grab a hold of me, do not jump hold of me, or grab me or whatever. Yeah, Zhang Ming Yang, guys, he's
big too, 6'2", 6'2". So what?
6'2", 6'2".
What weight was that?
Light heavyweight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's got knockout.
We don't get too many of them from over there either.
He's a finisher for sure. So there's the main card. Macau. Do you like Chinese food, Paul?
I do, but I don't know if I really like Chinese food or if I just like crap American version of
the
American Chinese food. I would have liked to had food there and seen what do you really get when you go over to actual China to get food.
Yeah.
What's it like? Is it good?
I didn't have any. I went for a walk I didn't have any Chinese
Eggs Benedict.
I had eggs Benedict and I had steak and chips one night, right?
Ooh.
I asked, you know, in England,
It's one of my favorites.
crisps, right? We call them, but you guys call them chips.
Chips, yeah.
Right? On the menu, it said steak and chips. I'm like, oh, steak and chips?
Did they actually give you potato chips?
With a little bit. I'll send the picture, Brian, for the edit. Steak with potato chips surrounding the outside of the steak and a fried egg in the middle. And they put it down, and I'm like, oh.
What is this?
It's steak and chips.
Wow. Were they homemade chips? Were they homemade potato chips?
They were, and they were actually very nice. They were a little thicker.
I was going to say, I hope so. Hopefully they weren't just literally a bag of Lay's poured onto the plate.
Yeah. Or as we call them in the UK, walkers. They just opened a pack of ready salted and stuck them on, salt and vinegar. I said, I asked for salt and vinegar. I didn't go out for any Chinese food. But maybe next time I will. Paul, you have a decent head of hair.
Thank you.
I had a dream last night. I was going bald. I just literally remembered.
Oh, you got to look that up. That means something. That's got to mean something.
Did.
Something.
I had a dream I was going bald. I did. I was like looking in the mirror. That literally just came back to me. Anyway, I'm thinking about shaving my head. But, Harrington, this is a cue for you to jump in. If anyone's out there and you are bald, don't worry about it. You are protected in the UK. If anyone makes any comments about you being bald, okay, that is now sexual harassment.
Oh, I saw.
According to the law. Harrington, break it down for us, please.
So a man was spoken to in some type of way at his job. He was called a bald. Surprisingly enough, calling him a was not the issue. It was the
bald part.
Calling him bald. They said that they took it in front of a high court. A court made up of 6 men who all happen to be bald, said that if you're bald, like pointing out a man's baldness is a sexual trait, like meaning baldness is inherently male. And because you're using discriminatory language that's gendered, that is against the practices. And that's what makes it illegal. So the man can now sue them, and he may be entitled to some compensation.
Hold on. Harrington, just not for the bald part, but for the see you next Tuesday. Mike Harrington, I now fine you 10 credits. What movie is that? What
Stallone,
movie?
Right?
Yeah.
I know it.
It's
Sandra Bullock, Wesley Snipes.
I can't. Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. Listen,
3 shells, man. We're almost at 3 shells time in the bathroom. Pretty soon.
I hate to say it, China. but you've got one on Anthony. Anthony has never got one of my movie references ever. But the UK is going that way, like the Demolition Man. That is insane, is it not, Paul?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You can't say anything anymore. You get fined for anything.
Look, listen,
nobody can poke fun anymore.
I'm all for love and happiness and peace and everyone being nice to everybody, and minimizing insults. But also at the same time, everyone's got to toughen up a little bit. Sometimes life's going to be hard. Sometimes people are going to say things you don't like. Sometimes you're going to run into some dickheads down the pub, down the street, at work. You're not going to get along with everybody, and you might hear something. And if you are bold, okay, if you're one of those losers, then you should be used to it, bro. Suck it up. I mean, I don't know what's worse. Like, there even being a hearing about it, or the guy putting in a complaint in the first place.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who works in like an office setting, and he had to deal with, he's in somewhat of a management position, and something got said about joking around about being gay, but he wasn't really, and they weren't sure. And then the guy had to put in, because the guy joked about being gay, they put in like a whole complaint. He had to take this whole report. He had to write it down. And he's like, you really want me to, if I report this, like it's going to go through, they're going to have a meeting about it. And the guy's like, no, yeah, I'm reporting it. And so he did. And the guy got fired.
Yeah.
The guy got fired.
Yeah. Man, you got to be careful what you say these days.
Especially in those, like any kind of office setting, man, HR will get you.
I've said this many times. When I was working at Fox Sports, Karen Bryant, of course, does the desk, and she would often rock up in some jazzy dresses, you know, and I would say, "Oh, nice dress, Karen. I like that. That's cool." You know, being complimentary. I was pulled to the side one day and given quite a stern talking to. What wasn't because of Karen Bryant. She had not said anything. She wasn't like snitching and trying to get me in trouble. She always appreciated that her fashion choices were, you know, approved of. You know, so that's nice. We all like to hear that. We like, you know, if I'm wearing a nice suit, I don't care who says it. If someone from the opposite sex says it's nice, that's even better. Thank you very much. You know, but someone pulled me to the side and said, Mike, that's not the language you can use in the workplace. I said, what do you mean? Commenting on a woman's dress is highly inappropriate. That is, you know, it's getting towards sexual harassment. I'm like, oh my God. I'm all right, fair enough. Karen, you look like shit.
Yeah, it's not like you said, hey, and your ass looks nice in that dress. You know what I mean? That's a different ball game there. It's
I know.
The actual clothes. If somebody, does it go the same way if somebody came up to us and they're like, hey, really nice suit? Are we bordering on sexual harassment?
Well, if you're an absolute pussy, I guess you would go up and say that. You know what I mean? As I said a moment ago, I think most men, regardless of whether or not you were interested in any kind of relationship, whether it be mentally, physically, whatever, I think anybody paying a compliment is a nice thing, and you would take it the right way. Not that you're trying to sleep with the person, kiss with the person, flirt with the person. It's just somebody making a nice compliment. Now, granted, for some women, I guess in the workplace, I guess could be an issue, and certainly back in the 80s and before then, in the 90s, you know what I mean? And guys would say stuff. All right, I kind of get that. But if you're just saying an innocent comment, come on, we all need to use our common sense here.
Yeah, as long as it's like I said, as long as it's appropriate, and you're not like, oh man, this looks great in that dress, or that, you know, pointing out specific attributes of the person.
Yeah,
that's what
in this day and age, you'd be like,
hold up, wait a minute.
It's so annoying. The stuff we can't say publicly. Anyway, Harrington, give us a non-MMA news story. Everyone that fought in Macau, well done. It was a great night. The fans were amazing. I bumped into an old friend that I did a movie with, Donnie Yen, It Man. You seen those movies?
Yeah.
I was live on commentary, and he comes over. I'm not hyping.
Is that what happened? I heard somebody coming up to you.
So Donnie Yen's like ridiculously famous in China. You know, he's like a legendary martial arts actor, and he's a great guy as well. I worked with him on Triple X, and you know how it is when we're commentating the next pay-per-view. They want us to really hype the pay-per-view because it's, you know, it's the pay-per-view.
Got to sell it.
And I'm like doing a good job. I'm halfway through it, and I'm like, oh, and this fight and that fight, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting tapped on the shoulder like quite aggressively. My first thought is get off my neck, and then my second thought, I look round, it's Donnie Yen. I'm like, oh, hey, Donnie, how are you, brother? No, I never said that. I'm like, oh, I've now been speaking to Donnie Yen. I'm live on air. I'll come and talk to you.
Gotta get through this, Donnie.
I'm sorry, buddy. Anyway, so I went over, spoke to him and said hi and stuff like that. So it was good to see him. But
you didn't say that his ass looked great in those pants that he was wearing, though, because that would get you in trouble, Michael.
I said, Donnie, you look good, buddy. He said he actually said to me, he said, you still look strong. You look big. You look strong. You look healthy. I'm like, really? Because I don't feel it. Yeah, it was. I look strong. What do you mean? What do you mean playing? Yeah, I've been lifting weights. Yeah, I've been doing this, but I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that.
Because it's a lie. I'm skinny, and I'm right now. I'm skinny fat, Nate Diaz style.
Got the Nate Diaz going on.
Well, because I haven't worked out in 2 months, and it's killing me.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I took today off. Michael.
Well, you did a marathon in Macau yesterday, so you had to take.
That's true. I was there. I'm sorry that I didn't make it to the fights because I had to be up early to get on the run. I didn't poop myself on the run, though. That's good. You know, people poop themselves a lot on marathons and triathlons.
No, they do.
Oh yeah.
I saw a video the other day.
I know. Taylor Nib.
Was that the woman who said, please don't film me? I just shit myself.
She's leading the race, and she's in the front, and she goes,
all in. Myself. So
Can you not get my ass?
Just sit myself.
Now, hold on. I saw this video doing the rounds on Instagram, and I didn't realize, no, Harrington, stick on. I didn't realize it was a new current thing. So she's quite high profile.
She just won. Yeah, she's like probably the best female triathlete in the like middle to long distance stuff. I think she was in the Olympics too, but she didn't do great in the Olympics for the shorter stuff. But T100, which was a series going on with the Professional Triathlon Organization, they're trying to get it much more mainstream. They're trying to get it more on, like, you can watch it live on YouTube. You can watch it on this. And they've got decent camera crews and commentary crews. My daughter is upstairs losing her mind. She's got her final molar coming in. So she's well, we're actually glad that that's what it was, because she came down with a light fever the other day. She wasn't eating, and we thought maybe she was just getting sick, which would be worse. At least she's got a tooth coming in. But yeah, that was recently. That video.
Do you need to take a minute? Do you need to stop down a minute?
No. Christy, she's just upset. She's a hothead. She's a redhead, Michael. So she's a Felder. She's quick.
Anyway. So they're trying to get it mainstream. I'm telling you what. Putting it out there, this is one of the toughest sports on the planet. Our competitors will literally choose to shit themselves rather than take a break. That's mainstream news.
I know it's absurd and it was ridiculous, but when that got out there, I'm kind of like, this is good. Like, people don't know how bad those people push themselves, and obviously, if you stop, there's porta potties all over the course, and on the really long distance races, the Ironmans and things like that, you've got, a marathon to run after a 112-mile bike, and you swim to something. So you got time sometimes to jump into the porta potty and blow it out real quick and then jump back on the run. But when you're in the race she was in, they're full gas. This is what I was going to say, which
all gas, no brakes.
All gas. Actually, more than gas in her case. Never trust the car on the run,
You're carving up before you start, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You're eating so much food the night before, and not only that, you're eating so much sugar, and they're pushing the limits now on how many carbohydrates you can take in an hour. Basically, some of the men are up to like 170 to 180 grams of carbohydrates per hour while racing.
Wow,
that's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of sugar.
I'll be honest.
Sometimes your gut.
I was very, very envious, because as a man that's currently on 7 different types of medication for my neck, and we talked about it last time. I haven't been able to
get them out.
I had a good poop the whole time I was in China. I'm like, look at this. This is not fair. She's
crapping herself on runs.
Crapping herself left, right, and center. Anyway, Harrington.
Shout out to Taylor Knibb.
Taylor Knibb, household name. She's going to get an endorsement deal out of that, though. Like, I don't know.
Depends.
Huggies or like, I don't know, like something. Diapers for adults, or,
Imodium.
Imodium, Kleenex. She's going to make some money for sure.
I was going to say chick wipes, dude. She could be the face of chick wipes after that.
100%.
See, the fact that you even know that chick wipes exist, Harrington.
No, they don't.
Not yet. Not yet. I was like, how do you know that exists? You've gone down in my estimation.
I don't know. I'm a father of a daughter. You gotta learn these things.
Chick wipes coming soon.
Jiri Prochazka versus Jamahal Hill is going down in LA, UFC 311. From Los Angeles. So 2 ex-champions finally going to duke it out.
The brand new Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, $2 billion arena.
Jesus.
That's going to be pretty cool.
When's the last time they were in LA?
I want to say when I began.
Was it your fight? Bro, I can't remember one since then. Honestly, we could be wrong, but
I honestly think it might have been.
They were supposed to go there for Jones Gustafson too, but that had to get moved last minute.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. They were in Anaheim, California, though, for Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane. And they were there earlier this year in Orange County for Topuria versus Volkanovski. What am I saying? But actually, Los Angeles.
Actually, LA, yeah.
Yeah, LA. It's been a very, very long time. Carlos Ulberg, of course, former champ. Jiri, former champ. Early thoughts on that fight, Paul?
I mean, anytime that Prochazka's in there, you don't know what the hell you're going to get. He's a dangerous dude, and we got to see if Jamahal can bounce back. He's been so worried about getting that fight back against
Pereira
that, you got to wonder where his concentration is. But I got to train with him a little bit, I guess like a month or so ago in Vegas and pick his brain. Man, the guy's got a great mind for the game. He really does. Like, he was breaking down even my striking, little just nuances about how he trains and things like that. So I'm excited for that fight. I think that's going to be a striking delight. I think if anybody's shooting takedowns, it's probably going to be Jiri mixing it up, trying to get it to the ground. But who doesn't like that fight? That's something violent is going to happen in that matchup for sure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be incredible. As you said, Jamahal, I feel like people are kind of underestimating Jamahal here because
they're taking what he's done in social, like on socials and stuff like that, and they're discrediting what kind of a fighter he is. He obviously you lose.
He was a sore loser to Pereira, right? Let's just be honest. He was a sore loser. He got knocked out, right? And as men, as fighters,
it's tough to deal with.
That became a champion. It's hard. It's hard to deal with, and the whole world laughs at you, and they all talk shit, and he's a proud man, and he's very capable with his hands, and he's a world-class fighter, and he truly feels that he got lucky. He truly feels that when the referee went to step in and then Pereira said, no, you're good, there was like a little moment of loss of concentration or whatever. Now, whether you agree with that or whether you don't, whether you think that's Jamahal making excuses, it doesn't matter. That's what he believes in his mind. That's what he truly believes. He wants to have another go. So he's pissed off. He's angry. But that makes you extremely motivated.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that he just goes out there and wants to lay it on the line and put him away, because I think Jamahal is the better fighter. I think Prochazka is fucking fun. I think he's super crazy and interesting, and I love his persona and who he is as a man. But skill-wise, I think he's starting to get kind of exposed for how reckless he is. He's a little sloppy, but at the same time, that's also what makes him so scary and dangerous too, right? It's the fact that he is unpredictable. I don't even think Prochazka knows what the hell he's going to throw out there half the time when he's in the octagon. And anytime you're fighting a guy like that, it's scary. You don't know what the hell's coming your way. But I think just as far as skill for skill, I think as long as Jamahal can just watch the craziness, pick his shots, land his boxing early, I think that's a fight where he can have a really exceptional knockout on the night.
Yeah, when you look at Jiri, I love the way the guy fights. Yeah, it is a little reckless. Yes, in the past I've maybe talked about he carries his chin high and stuff like that, but that's like his martial arts style. Like a real boxing style, you took your chin and all the rest of it. Martial arts are kind of like this. He's a true throwback movie style martial artist, traditional martial artist, samurai and all that type of stuff. But the man's violent as hell.
He's crazy,
30
man.
wins, 26 knockouts, hits like a truck. Ridiculous power. You don't know what's going to come at you. Spinning elbows, head kicks, all kinds of stuff. The man hits hard. He can take a shot, and he is not afraid. He's one of my favorite characters.
He is not. That is a main weapon of his. He is not afraid of it.
If you're coming up, right, if you're writing Street Fighter 2, the video game, back in the day, and you're like, right, we're going to do a video game for Nintendo. And, right, so we're going to fight from all over the world. One guy's going to be from Brazil. We'll call him Dalsim, and he has these super long arms that come out. We need someone else. I know. Let's get this crazy guy from Czechoslovakia. Right?
Who thinks he's a samurai.
Who thinks he's a samurai that just throws caution to the wind and throws all this wild stuff. Who used to drink gasoline out of cars and have mass fights and brawls on the streets of Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic, get wildly drunk and just like brawl loads of people. People would say, that's a great backstory. Whoa, that's awesome.
And it's real.
That's Jiri Prochazka, man. I love this guy. And if he's watching this, I do not mean that as an insult. I mean that.
Dude, we love you. We love you.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Now, Brian, just read out loud what you put in the chat, because I only just saw that, just to go back to this a minute.
Well, the dream thing?
About the boldness, dreaming of going bold.
Dreaming about going bald often symbolizes feelings of insecurity, loss of control, fear of aging, or a significant life transition, as hair is often associated with personal power and identity. So losing it in a dream can represent feeling vulnerable or experiencing major change in your life. And you did just have a psychopath run up on your door. So
you had a psychopath, but more importantly, I think your neck, your surgery, and dealing with that.
No, 100%. That because it's like I just saw that because the way I got my screen set up, the chat is in the other monitor here, and it's really minimized for some reason, so I couldn't see it. But that's precisely what it is, because I've been going through a lot of stuff lately emotionally because of my neck. I can't do anything. I can't work out. I feel like a shell of myself, to be quite frank. I used to be the middleweight champion of the world, and right now I'm like, if anyone even touches me, it's really bad, and the pain is 24/7. I can't do shit. And then I just saw that in the chat. That dreaming of hair loss symbolizes feelings of insecurity, a fear of aging, or a significant life transition. Oh my God. I don't know where you got that, Brian, but you just nailed it to an absolute goddamn T.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually when we dream of those specific type things, there's usually some underlying thing going on in life that does that. It's great. Teeth is another one. I forget.
It ain't over. Oh, no. Quitters never win, right? I ain't going out like that. I've been on the phone to all kinds of people. Joe Rogan has introduced.
What's the next move, man?
People. The next move is I deal with this shit once and for all. I get another surgery. I'm flying off for stem cells here, stem cells there. I'm getting on planes, trains, automobiles, ferries across China. I don't care what it takes, right? But I ain't transitioning into some little like petty child. Oh no,
you don't want to look like those marathon runners pooping themselves, Michael. You don't want to look like that.
I'm not far off, but I'm coming back. I'm getting a proper cycle of steroids. I'm going to be juiced out the max. I'm like, yeah.
There you go.
Bitches, you want to come to my house?
You know what you need to do? I think you need to go live with Prohaska for a little bit, and I think he'll get you right. He'll get you right.
Hitting a Makawara in my underpants.
Yeah, go in. Put a Makawara board on the trees. Yeah. Live in darkness for a few days. It'll get you psychologically correct.
Yeah.
He did that, right? Didn't he live in a dark room for like a week or something crazy?
He did when he found out about the fight with Pereira. He went and meditated for 5 days or something in the dark.
That's room. Master Splinter's type stuff, man. When I feel like Prohaska's the kind of guy that when he meditates, he actually leaves his body and goes and visits the spirit world and comes back.
I saw a thing yesterday on Instagram and I thought to myself, I'm going to try and do this. We're now on day one. I haven't done it. But it said, every morning you should take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. Go and sit outside in your garden and sit there in silence. Or it was Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington was talking about it. He said, don't reach for it. You know what we're talking about, the cell phone. Don't look at it. Go out there, sit in nature, close your eyes and have 5 minutes of peace to yourself. He said, you owe that to yourself. And I thought, you know what? If you can't do that for 5 minutes, what is the world coming to? So I have a little balcony off the side of my room. I didn't do it today because I forgot. I was dreaming about losing my hair. I was dreaming about... I tell you, I had another dream just before because I'm jet lagged. I had a dream I was jumping into some lake in the wilderness, but the water was freezing. But Lucas... who's wrestling now, he won a medal at the weekend, kept jumping on my back. And I was going, my neck, get off. And I was trying to get him off my neck. And he bit me. And he wouldn't let go like a dog. And he was biting me for ages. I'm like, and I woke up going, on the couch. And Rebecca's going, what's wrong? I'm like, Lucas is biting me. She's like, no, you're fine. So
you have dreams like I do.
I'm getting on the balcony 5 minutes a day. Are you going to join me in the 5-minute balcony club?
I'll do it tomorrow. I don't have a balcony, but I'll go out in my backyard and just.
Woosah. No, but that is good advice, though. If you can't take 5 minutes and be alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, and I think that's why so many people have become obsessed with the cold plunge and things like that. I don't think beyond the benefits and the research that they've done on things like that, I think it's similar to what you're talking about. Just taking a moment of something that's hard to do, even though that's not hard to do, it is to put your phone down, forget everything going on in your schedule and all the stuff you got to do, and just taking a moment to do something productive for yourself that doesn't involve the internet, doesn't involve social media, doesn't involve anything. The only problem is everybody now is videotaping themselves doing it, recording it, putting it on.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to get back to that. I do have a cold plunge up there on my like little back deck, and I got to start doing that again. But now it's getting cold here on the East Coast, man. That's when it becomes tough. When it's 30 degrees outside and then you go get in, 30 some degree water. It's like,
yeah, but I do think you hit the nail. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the cold plunge and all that type of stuff. We have got to start taking a break from social media, from devices, just from the connected world of the internet. In that same clip, Denzel Washington was talking about saying he feels sorry for this generation because, when he was younger or when I was younger, I mean, when you were younger, pre-social media growing up, you weren't subject to hundreds of opinions instantly.
All the
people
time.
saying good things, people saying bad things, knowing Rebecca said this the other day, it's true. Nowadays, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, whatever it is that you're into, we're into MMA, other things as well, of course, triathlons, whatever the case may be. You follow certain pages, you follow certain accounts, you know everything the moment it happens. Remember how good it used to feel hearing breaking news, something good? Like, you can be contacted everywhere. You don't get surprised anymore. You don't show up and they go, hey, you're not going to believe this. And you go, no, I know. I saw it on my phone.
I saw it. I saw it on the phone.
Somebody text me. There's a WhatsApp group. Do you know what I'm saying? Like these goddamn things, they're amazing. Don't get me wrong. Especially when you're sat on the toilet by yourself and you're trying to
not too long though, because you're going to weaken your muscles and hemorrhoids.
They're great, but I see a lot of people talking about going back to flip phones.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I don't know if I can do it either. And I think in the world that we're in, it might be tough for us to do it as well. But I'm with you, man. I do miss, like, my God, I can think about being a kid. I got up in the summer and I'd go do shit. Like I would just, and some days you didn't find your buddies. Like you didn't know what, you still just managed to go do something. I mean, I used to play release, all these like running games. We used to hide on roofs. I've fallen off of a roof, got a concut, like just kids.
I remember as a kid though saying, right, on the phone. So there was a castle by our house. Right, I'll meet at the castle gates, 7:00. Perfect. Yeah. Boom. You go there.
You had to schedule shit.
No one's there.
Or you had to call or go knock.
7:10.
Like, hey, can Jimmy come
7:30. 7:45.
Yeah, nobody's
and
there.
then you see him the next day. You're like, you dickhead. I sat there for an hour and a half. I was waiting. And he's like, well, I didn't show up. Why wouldn't you go home? So I thought you were coming.
And the good thing about that, so that's the bad side of before we had just such an easy way to contact everybody. But on the flip side, if you didn't want to go and do something with someone, you could just bail on something and they couldn't just harass you about it. Like you could be like, I'm skipping that today. And you're not going to hear from 100 people. God forbid you skip a dinner or you go do something now. You're going to get 100 text messages of, where are you at? What are you doing? Why aren't you coming here? You can't get away with it anymore.
Yeah. It's not easy to say no to things. You feel like you got to have a reason why. Like from now on, I'm just going to start saying, no, I don't want to.
No, I don't
That's
feel like
it. I don't want to. It's great. I'm sure you're going to have a lovely time. I don't want to. Can't be bothered.
even just in New York City, the one night I was like, man, I didn't really feel like going to dinner. I just wandered around the city for a while. I was like, I've been on the road for 5 weeks in a row. Sometimes I just want to go and do nothing.
Yes. Speaking of doing nothing, here's a man that often does nothing. Mike Harrington, welcome to the show. And he's muted. Good lad. You are muted, sir. You are muted.
How is that possible?
I know it's well, I don't know. It's possible though.
I don't remember hitting the thing. That's on me. Okay. Looking for an MMA story?
Sure, why not? It's your job.
All right, UFC 310, coming up in just a couple of weeks here. They added 3 fights to finalize the card. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Eric Anders versus Chris Weidman was moved from 309 to 310. And then Temba Garimbo is stepping in for Nick Diaz against Vicente Luque. So that's that shores up the card.
Hold on, before we talk about those, and very interesting bookings, by the way. I was talking about this, as I said, when Donnie Yen not interrupted, came to say hi. I don't think he realized I'm live on ESPN. Have you seen the prelims for UFC 310? Now, they're all going to say accompany man Bisping, but these are the prelims. Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper, Chiesa versus Max Griffin, Cody Durden, Joshua Van, Chris Weidman, Eric Anders, Randy Brown, Brian Battle, Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling, and Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. Name brand value, former champions in every single matchup. They've got to be the best prelims ever.
I mean, you know, got our boy Kies in there, guy we work with. Awesome. And then the Cody Durden, Joshua Van fight should be a pretty epic fight. Randy Brown, Brian Battles looked unreal lately. Love that.
So is Rude Boy Randy Brown.
Yeah, I mean, that's a he got a nice step up there getting to fight Randy Brown. He's always a challenge. Tall, long, got good boxing. And then this Aljamain Sterling fight, I'm really interested to see how that's going to go down. If Sterling can shut him down and get that win, man, that is huge for him, because that is a guy that nobody really wants to fight right now. He's got, I don't think, any finishes in the UFC yet. All decisions, but he just drags guys down and just finds a way to win. Undefeated, still 18-0. But man, if there's a guy that can do it with the grappling skills, it's Aljamain. And I think that's what everyone's waiting to see. If he can beat that guy, then he puts himself right at the top of the heap, I think.
Do you agree that there's any validity to this kind of thought process, that like this is a really tough spot for Aljamain Sterling? Obviously, a champ at 35, loses the belt to Sean O'Malley, comes up to 45 against Kelvin Kattar. Movsar Evloev, all right, hardcore fans will know him, right? But, you know, there's a lot of non-hardcore that probably aren't aware of him, aware of how good he is, you know, and he's a really, really tough guy to beat. And if Aljo isn't successful here, that's going to massively derail any talk, any possibility of fighting for the championship at 145, you know, so it's a really, really dangerous matchup.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why he's taking it. I think he knows that it's a shit situation to be in, because again, most people have no idea if you're just a casual fan watching on the weekends here and there, especially just pay-per-views, you're not going to necessarily know who Movsar is, but if you beat him, at least the UFC knows what you did. You know what I mean? And then you're going to be like, listen, I took a fight against that guy. I'm a former champ. I fought a guy with very low name power, at least in the United States, and I beat him. Then you can start being like, well, now I want to be fighting top contenders. I want to put myself into the mix. But I agree with you that if he loses and it's like a tough fight, the people are going to do the same thing they always do with him. They're going to give him shit, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Tremendous amount of respect for him for taking on that matchup. Just like in the main event, we talked about this, I think, Ian Machado Gary going up against Shavkat, right? People talk shit about Ian Gary. You know, he's been the victim of a lot of online abuse, shall we say. I think we had this conversation last week, didn't we? So we won't repeat ourselves. But main card name, Landwehr Duho Choi. That's interesting. Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie, right?
Yeah, grappler's delight right there.
I mean, Bryce Mitchell, I've reached out to get him on the podcast because he's money every single time. He's out of his mind in the best way possible.
Yeah. He'll bring his Bible. He'd be bringing his Bible on if you got him on.
Yeah. We had him on the podcast. I don't know if you ever saw our debate, me and Anthony with him. You got better things to do with your time, but going on about the Bible, going on about flat Earth, evolution.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to talk to him about.
Exactly.
I want him to try to sell me, because I got when that was. Flat Earth comes in waves. You get some big time people talking about flat Earth. There was an NBA player for a while that was claiming the Earth is flat. Why are no scientists backing any of this? You know what I mean? It's like you got a bunch of crazies out there and I want to know. Give me one good study that shows me why the Earth is flat. You can tell me. I'm a conspiracy guy. I love a good conspiracy.
Okay.
But that was one. That was one. I'd be out. I'd be having drinks with my brother. I'd be like, man, I don't know. What do you think? He'd be like, what do you mean? What do you think? It's not flat. I'm like, but how do you know it's not flat?
So apparently Brian Googled this and then jump on because this is definitely Brian's world. Pictures from the top of Mount Everest. It was a clear day. The pictures of Mount Everest show that it's not flat. I mean, obviously,
you can see curvature.
They show that it's. You see the curvature of the globe.
There's also a really easy like logic experiment.
No, we know this. We've been through this. But go on.
But if you look at the Burj Khalifa, when the sun rises, it hits the top of the building before it hits the sun travels down the building, and that could only happen if it was coming over a curved surface.
Yeah.
Because if it was flat, it would just be like a.
There's a million reasons
anyway,
why. Like my brother-in-law is a pilot, and I asked him, and I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Well, because I've seen it. I've seen it. I fly planes at 50,000, 40,000 feet up in the sky. I've seen
which
it."
Which is funny because that was one of the big time flat earthers are like, how come pilots when they're flying aren't constantly adjusting to tilt down to continue over the, and I'm like, it's not a marble that we're flying over. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about the earth.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to make little micro adjustments.
It's a scale issue. People don't think that we're as small as we actually are.
Yeah, Brian, just maybe you can jump in on this. Paul said that he loves a good conspiracy, and I was talking to somebody about conspiracies the other day. Oh, Dean Amasinger again. We were in China, and there was someone else as well, and he said apparently what they do is because this person was saying, "Yeah, I love a good conspiracy." I said, "Yeah," I said, "A lot of them are bullshit." He said, "Well, this is the thing. What they do," he said, "the CIA or whoever it is." Purposely put out and create these crazy conspiracy theories so that anytime anybody touches on a real one, you get labeled as a crazy conspiracy guy.
The CIA
actually a movement that they do to discredit anybody having these theories.
The CIA actually came up with the term conspiracy theorist to push people away from thinking that they were responsible for killing JFK, which I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that to even comment on it, but I will look into it. Speaking of planes going at 40,000 feet, imagine you're on a plane, Paul. The pilot has a heart attack. Oh. You're in first class. The pilot door just happens to be open, and you're nose diving down towards the earth at a terrifying rate. No one's stepping up to save the day. It's down to you, Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon. The air hostesses are going crazy. Cups of coffee are flying everywhere. People are strapping themselves in. Kids are screaming, ah! The air hostesses, they're shitting their pants. They're useless. They're doing nothing, right? They wouldn't bring you water the whole flight. They certainly aren't going to save your life now. Could you go into that cockpit and land the plane?
As long as I could talk to air traffic control,
okay,
and they can tell me what to do, I'm giving it a shot. I'm jumping in and I'm giving it a shot.
Less capable people than Paul have pulled that off, so I think you can do it.
Harrington, please, the floor is yours. You shouldn't be jumping in right now.
Oh, I figured you had this one covered. According to a study put out last year, 36% of people think that they could land a plane. Notable, 50% of men surveyed. 50% of men surveyed said, no problem. I'll give it a shot. I think I can handle that with exactly those stipulations. You can talk to the control tower, limited. They're not going to be able to walk you through every single little thing, but you'll be in contact with them.
I bet you they are.
So 50% of men. 50% of men reckon
like, I got it. They also think they can beat us up.
Yeah.
Those same guys also think as long as they had a few beers in them.
I said this to Rebecca. I said, what's some of the comparisons? I said, comparisons that other men might think. I'm like, yeah, they probably think the average guy could probably think they could beat up a UFC fighter. And I'm like, no, I still think it's crazier that they think they could land a jumbo 747. right?
Yeah.
Because it's very complicated. Now, taking off would be much harder. So Rebecca, as I said, her brother-in-law is a captain for Qantas Airways. So she sent the article and she said, Michael's going to talk about this on the podcast. Is there any way that a regular man could land a plane in an emergency? And Daniel, by the way, he's not the type of guy to inflate his importance. He's like super chill, just like the average Australian. He's like, he plays his role down. He's like, mate, most of the time we're asleep. You know, he's like, it's really not that hard. You know, he's not the type of guy to big himself up. And he said, probably not. You could possibly, to Harrington's point, you could possibly get coached into letting the aeroplane auto land, but only some aeroplanes have the auto land and only some airports support it. Maybe a really small aircraft, but not a passenger jet. But 50% of men are delusional dickheads.
Yeah, that adds up. That all checks out. That would be the the stat.
But you got to conceive, believe, achieve.
Yeah, if I'm in that situation, what is there to lose? You know what I mean?
People don't have a set of balls, and they aren't willing to try things. They aren't willing to try something that is inconceivable, unimaginable. We're never going to achieve anything. We'll still be stuck in the stone,
I'm putting my leather jacket on, my aviators on, and I'm going full Top Gun on that jet.
Light me a cigar. Okay,
give me a cigarette. Forget it.
Yeah. I'm like, give me a double vodka tonic.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, I'm not doing this sober, guys. Let's go.
I'm locked in, baby. I'm locked in.
I'm focused.
Oh, God, hilarious.
I was going to ask, because this feels like something like this is movies, right? Like we've all seen Soul plane. Keanu lands a plane because he's good at playing video games. Like it's a pretty common trope. So I was going to ask you guys like a couple other common tropes in movies. Do either one of you guys think you could deliver a baby?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Yes.
I've seen it.
To the woman.
I've seen it done.
He does most of the work.
Yeah, not a C-section, but like push, breathe. Yeah, we could all do that.
Support the head.
Babies were born before any technology into the most terrible conditions, and the human race is here today. I've been there. I've seen it done. I've coached my wife along. You're doing great, babe. You're doing great. Gives a bit of that gas and air. It makes you nice and high for a second. I've seen it. They do all the work. And then when it comes out, I was asked if I wanted to cut the umbilical cord. My response was, no, that's your job, to the nurse, because I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to make a mistake and like accidentally cut her open or something. But yeah, I could deliver a baby. Paul, could you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I again, I mean, if she started to hemorrhage or have issues like that, then
that's different.
I don't know what the hell to do. But as far as getting that baby out, we're getting that
baby out. Give us another one. Come on, Harrington, give us another.
Hurt lockering, like diffusing a bomb with somebody in your ear.
Not a chance.
Oh, that's so scary.
But you're there.
I'd let Michael do it. I'd let Michael go.
Oh yeah, because I'm the guy.
Like, Mike, you go in there.
Presented with a bunch of wires, different colors, and a guy says, "Okay." And
tell me what you see.
You got FaceTime, and he's like, "That one there."
No FaceTime, just a phone call. He's on a landline.
Yeah, just tell you. He said, "I've got 17 wires."
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll give it a go.
Okay.
I'm not volunteering though. I'm not volunteering.
I like this game. Give me another.
There's a video game called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes that we should play and check on this. Because it's that. It's like you are giving audio cues to somebody to disarm a bomb.
Well, considering all the comments about me just interrupting everybody, keep talking and nobody dies, I'd win that game all day long. And I apologize for interrupting, Paul. Have you got one more, Harrington?
Hostage negotiation. Could you successfully manage a hostage negotiation?
See, I think I'd be bad there because I think I would just get pissed off at the guy and say the wrong thing, and 13 children be killed. I think I could talk somebody off of a roof trying to kill themselves, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could talk somebody out of, holding people hostage and threatening to kill them necessarily. Maybe, But I think if somebody was ready to end it and I stumbled upon them and they were on a bridge or something like that, like I think I can talk to them enough to get close enough and then either grab them or let them know that there's more to live for.
It's weird because I automatically went to that scenario, Paul. I didn't go to a hostage situation. I went to somebody trying to kill themselves. And I think I'd do a really good job of making them feel better about themselves and giving them some hope and inspiration. You know, believe it or not, behind this very, very extremely manly, about to go bald, broken neck disguise of a man that you have, I can say some pretty nice, encouraging things. But yeah, a crazed terrorist with a machine gun. I mean,
I don't know about that.
You know, he wants 20 million.
I ain't got it for you, buddy.
Go get it off someone else, buddy. Kill him.
Take him.
There's too many people on the planet anyway. All right. What else have we got, Harrington? Dustin Poirier tells fans that he was close to a deal on a fight, but they're still in process. Tells fans it will not be Fiziev. Harrington, jump on. John Jones says that he is in negotiations with the UFC right now, and a return in 2025 is more than likely. We've kind of done John Jones a fair bit recently, though. Harrington,
I like that he's in talks at least.
Yeah, no, that's all good stuff. And he does seem motivated. According to Jones, he's back in the gym already training for whatever the next thing may be. So, Dana did say, hey, John's going to leave. I'm not going to hear from John for like 3-4 months. For John to already be making those calls, I think that's a positive sign.
International Fight Week 2025, John Jones, Tom Aspinall. That's my bet. 100%.
Set it up.
100%. That'll be the one. That'll be the one.
It makes the most sense. It's how they can get the money for him. You know what I mean? It lines up. And both guys are already talking. Tom was talking to Hunter and Dana afterwards already. John's already back in negotiations. Get it done. And that's what that week needs. It needs that kind of a headliner. It needs a Jones versus an Aspinall. And, come on. Let's not play around. Let's get that done. I'm glad to hear he's back in the gym. But we all know, love John. But he's just one weekend away from setting that all on fire, isn't he?
Oh, God, you're right. It's like, yeah, that's great. International Fight Week. You do realize that's 8 months away. A lot of shit can go on in 8 months. There's a lot of weekends. 4 a week, that's like, say, that's 35 weekends that can happen.
Yeah, he's inspired right now. He's coming off a big win, but that's, one good night out.
My stable guy. Tom's just like going to the gym and taking his kids to school and stuff like that. I might have a beer or two at the weekend here and there, but,
he's not going on big benders.
John's wild. God. Oh, dear. What else, Harrington?
So I wanted to get you guys' take on this one. Gable Stevenson, he went to the Olympics. He was recently helping John Jones train for his fight. He tried out. He was on the Buffalo Bills. He's done a bunch of professional sports and higher level things, which is why a lot of people are calling foul at the fact that he used up some of his NCAA eligibility to go back and whoop on some college kids. Just want to, take a look at this and just how dominant. Get you guys' take on that.
A nice entry, takes him down. That was beautiful.
Does he pin him?
What are we trying to do here, Harrington? He's a great wrestler.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if it's a little unfair for somebody who's been Olympic level to go back to college. No, absolutely not. Diversity is key. Diversity. Adversity is key. You know what I mean? Like, there's no passes in life. It's just like Saturday. Lucas wrestled, and he was super annoyed because he got third, but he went up against the guy that won the whole tournament in the first matchup. Yeah, and he was so pissed. He said, "I would have won the whole thing, or I would have at least got second if he got him in the final." I'm like, well, that's life. That's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it is. And that Gable Stevenson going back there and doing that. What do you want him to do? Take it easy and lower his own reputation just so someone can not get beaten quite as badly? Nah, they need to learn. There's levels out there. This is how good you can be. This is how dominant you could be. This is the level of wrestling that you can aspire to be. This is what I have. So I have no problem with that whatsoever.
I guess people are mad. Why? Because it's going back to college level, right? And these kids are trying to compete for their, to get to that same status that he's at. I guess that's why they're giving him grief. But hey, if he's still got the eligibility, I mean, he's not doing anything technically wrong, but I can at least see why people are giving him grief over. It's like, well, why not just go back to the Olympic level of things and not back to the collegiate level? But he's probably just trying to get reps.
Yeah, he's just trying to lose a few pounds. It looks like he needs to, by the looks of it. Anyway, right. Well, we've been going for a little bit there. We won't keep you for too long. There's no point ramming on about stuff that there's no need to talk about. Anything that we should get to, Harrington? I see that look on your face. Go on, bring it up.
So I do have one thing.
I don't know what it's going to be, but this is what he does, Paul. This is what he does. I always say, is there anything that we should get to before we do a question? And he brings up the most non-irrelevant stuff. He's like, who's that girl fighter that you like?
Macy Barber. Yeah, no.
He's always like, Macy Barber's got a new booking. We got to talk about that. I'm like, Macy Barber's great. Okay, we've all got lives to live. I'm in a lot of neck pain. Okay, what have you got, Harrington?
Okay, so debatable how relevant this is, but two Bellator champions, Patricio Pitbull and Patchy Mix, they got a lot of heat over the weekend when both guys came out and said they have asked multiple times for fights. They said this PFL merger has been a disaster, both guys only being able to fight one time in what they consider to be the prime of their career. They've been begging for fights. Fights have been booked and canceled, and they're saying that there are guys on the roster who are being told you're too expensive to fight when they're on 30-30 contracts. So a lot of guys very upset at the contract situation over there with the PFL.
Yeah, I saw that. And I even saw Duke Rufus posted a thing too, like complaining that he's got guys on that roster that he's trying to get booked that they're just not giving them anything. That's really crap to hear, because I agree that, especially, Patchy's in his prime right now, and one of the best bantamweight, and he's not getting to prove it. Release those boys, release them, and let them come on over. Let him come on over to the UFC. They'll get him fights. He's a guy I'd love to see fight in the UFC, honestly.
No, 100%. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of PFL and Bellator. And I don't want to seem like I'm shitting on them for no reason. But when I see, what's he called? Don Michaels coming out and the shit that he talks, and then you hear about stuff like this, and you hear about Gegard Mousasi. And because he said the exact same thing, that they've been stalling him out because they can't afford him on his contract. But yet then they're paying people like Francis Ngannou $12 million or whatever it was. And they can't afford people that are on 30 and 30 because they put all their eggs into that one basket. The pay-per-view didn't sell, and they've got no business model. So all the other guys on the roster, the little guys, they're all struggling now. They all can't compete. They all can't go somewhere else and fight and plow their trade because the business is being run like a load of shit, and it's probably going to be out of business soon. It's like they always said. Dana always says it, and I don't want to sound like I'm agreeing with everything that Dana says, but it's true. You see it all the time. These promoters come in, they throw money around like crazy, and where are they now? How many has there been over the years? It is not an easy business to run, and certainly it sounds like there's a lot of problems right now. We're seeing the same thing with ONE FC. ONE FC are coming over to the UFC because there is so many problems over there. Karate Combat, the president was telling me all about that. We had, what was it called? Rainier de Ridder. He came over and he spoke about it at the post-fight presser. And now we're hearing about it over at Bellator and PFL and stuff. It sucks. It sucks for the fighters.
Yeah, people give the UFC, they like to always give us shit, and they get their fights. At least people get fights, man. They're a well-oiled machine in that regard, and that's the problem. When they try to make these big signees, they try to get these big, huge fights so that they can get some reputation, but you're not able to afford it. They're all losing money. They're hemorrhaging money, a lot of those companies, and obviously we need them. We need fighters to have more options, and I'm all for that. But if you can't get them fights, then what the hell is the point of even having it?
Of course, I'm all for fighters having the most options and making the most amount of money as possible, of course. And people always make the comparison over to boxing, and boxing events are losing money, hand over fist. That's why Turkey Al Sheikh's had to come in and, paying over the top money to get these fighters to compete, and that's not sustainable either. You know, and he's probably aware. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything like that, but you know, he's paying over the odds to put in these incredible events, and us as fans, it's incredible to see, but it's not sustainable paying 30, 40 crazy money, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions if people aren't watching the events. And I'm sure people are, but like, it's supposed to be a business. He can't just be a super fan forever and spending his own family's fortune to make a lot of boxers extremely wealthy in the short term, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the show. Paul, great as always. Oh, we got a quick question.
Yeah.
First of all, do we have a question? If you have a question, send it in to bympod@gmail.com. That is the email address. We want your questions. We want them fun. We want them entertaining. We want them interesting. Also, leave a comment. Helps the algorithm. Like the video and subscribe, you dickhead. If you haven't subscribed, 10 years, maybe longer we've been doing this show. Subscribe. Brian, tell him, Paul. Tell him.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Don't beg.
Our question this week is from Dan, and he's wondering about injury stuff.
Oh, hi. Just finishing up my daily inspirational reading. Signed copy, by the way. Anyway, this is Dan from Decatur, Georgia, and my question concerns injuries and surgeries. Tore my rotator cuff doing jiu-jitsu earlier this year and was facing possible surgery, followed by months of rehab and a lot of time off work. And I was getting very depressed and feeling basically like a little bitch about the whole thing. And it made me think about you, Michael and Anthony, how you are very upfront with your challenges with surgeries and injuries and recovery. And I just wondered, do you think it's because you both are fighters and mixed martial artists that you're able to handle injuries and surgeries so matter-of-factly, or do you think you're born that way and it just is well suited to being a fighter for a living? Anyway, thanks for taking my question. Love the podcast and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Dan. You're clearly a very intelligent man. I mean, the choice of reading, it's high level stuff, Paul. It's high level stuff, but he gets it, man. I'll let you have the first take before I bore everyone for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I just think when you do sports the way we do it, and fighting in particular, you kind of have to get used to dealing with a lot of pain and dealing with recoveries, but it's no easier for us, I would say. I mean, look at you right now. You're still going through it. You still have to deal with the repercussions of the sport. And I've had some weird ones, man, lung surgeries. And obviously I'm going to need a new hip in the future. But I definitely think there's an aspect of being born with the ability to kind of deal with a high level of pain that comes with a lot of fighters. And if you're just a regular individual and you get into that sport, yes, those things can be tough to deal with, especially if it's not your job. That's also what guys got to realize with us is when that's our job, it's easy to recover from that. Not easy, but that's what I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to be focused on. I also don't have to go and work whatever 9-to-5 job on top of that. So definitely makes it a little easier for a professional to recover.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, because I was just going to say, well, the reality is the reality. You have no choice. You have to do it. But if you're a fighter in the first place, you kind of have that approach anyway. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this for a living. You wouldn't have stepped into a ring, stepped onto a mat, joined a boxing gym when you were a kid or whatever. So you kind of got that built into you. And then if you want to be a competitor and all the rest of it, if you're going to push your body, injuries are going to happen. Whatever sport it is, triathletes, boxing, trampolining, I don't know, gymnastics, whatever. Anytime you're pushing the body to the limit, stuff is going to go wrong and things are going to happen. And you have a choice. What do you want to do? Do you want to continue doing this? You want to continue chasing your path? Or do you want to call it a day? Most of the time, the surgeries, they're not that bad. This one's kicked my ass. This one isn't recovering. It's not getting better. And it's been a long issue. But like a torn labrum, just to give you a bit of advice, Dan, you're gonna be fine. It's a pretty standard, straightforward procedure. They do it standing on the head. They can do it with their eyes shut. You know what I mean? You'll be in and out. You'll be sore for a couple of weeks or so, and then you're good. You're back to the races, and you're back to boring your wife and hopefully reading my book. But I think it's just, and there is a certain part of that we're just those guys, Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just tough. We're just built different, baby. I mean, I wish everyone could be like us, but they can't. Brian, do we have one more? Because I know it's late where Paul is, and he's like, the missus has got the tea on the stove.
Oh, no, it's just the little ones.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Havoc up there. No. She'd be doing it whether I was up there or not. She's crazy.
What we got, Brian?
That's it for this week. Just from Dan.
Well, that is it for this week from Dan. That's it from Paul, and that's it from me. Subscribe, ring the bell. See you next week. Thanks for watching. All the best.